What
Is
is
that,
the, what is the ultimate goal of being busy? What you want to achieve?
are you serious?
I'm very serious.
I mean, I'm just, well, I just have things going on in my life, right? Like I have work and then I have two dogs that I'm feeding them and taking them for a walk. And so like I'm busy with just like the responsibilities of life. I'm not busy trying to chase like a false dream or false idols or a bunch of money or anything like that. I'm just busy with, my normal life stuff, grocery store, dogs, work, just stuff that I have to do for my life.
First thing is very clear that you are not running after the false dream, and that is extremely fair, and it keeps my intellect in order. I do not reach to a state of intellectual paralysis.
What is a false dream?
Her false dream is that if I earn this much, I will be happy. And once you achieve this, your mind says get little more. So you are always busy. If you fail to achieve what you have dreamed, then you are frustrated. And out
Yeah.
of the frustration, you take actions. Sometimes we take action unconsciously and habitually. We are not supposed to do. So that causes a lot of frustration in our life. You see, the entire world is running. Wealth, position, or recognition, and all kinds of pleasure. The wealth does not contain the property of happiness. The recognition does not contain the property of happiness. And so the pleasure. Pleasure is short lived. Pleasure comes and goes. You have a sexual pleasure, you have a pleasure of eating food, you have a pleasure of going on vacation. Find out any. Pleasure means short term happiness. In that you achieve in contact with someone, something, some gadget, some situation, some time, some place in the world. So I believe you have that realization that this running makes us fully busy on one hand and leaves us extremely mentally, physically, emotionally tired because mind is constantly thinking about it and it
But
is obsessed with it.
you did say though that like as long as I have the knowledge, it's okay for me to go out and work hard to achieve money. If I want to have sex, go have sex. Go do all the things. I can still do that stuff you said.
First achieve that and then see what happens to your life.
That's right. That's right. That's the one thing I forget because then once I achieve that, I will desire that.
So once you have achieved, you have an immense sense of happiness all the time. So the happiness that is continued, that is permanent state of the happiness, sexual pleasure, nothing in present of the permanent happiness. There is a self satisfaction. But then why you go for the sex? For a reproduction, for continuing the generation, for continuing the generation. Because you are already happy, that is one aspect of the spiritual life. Second aspect of the spiritual life, that ultimately you go for the sexual pleasure again and again, but you have a permanent state of the happiness. What is going to happen, I will not answer now. First achieve that. But come back to the same question. So I'm very happy. Every person should realize that the wealth, the wealth of any kind, pleasure of any kind, recognition of any kind is not going to help me achieve what the life is expecting, the permanent happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. So half of the worries drops. But still I am very busy. So as you mentioned that you have to walk the dog, you have other responsibility, that we will take up when we understand the second step. What is necessary, what is not necessary. What is required, what is not required. What is desired, what is not desired in our life. Because if the mind has a false notion that this is desired and it is false, then the life will not be organized. Life will not be settled. That we need to contemplate and reflect, and that we will reflect in detail in the step number 2. So the step number 1, you see that I will just summarize in 4 questions, and that you have to contemplate. I know that you have a great contemplative intellect and you reflect. So you have to think seriously. Seriously does not mean that you should get stressed. The goal of life of every human being, goal of life, is only one. And that goal of life, you can say self-fulfillment. Another word for it, to know the real self. But why the master says this? So the master says you see the 8 billion people now, roughly 8 billion people, right? And now think of it at a minimum, that every human being has 1,000 desires. So 8 billion multiplied by 1,000 desires. We have 8 trillion people living on this earth. Because of that desire, my attitude, my behavior, my action, everything changes.
Yeah.
So there are not 8 billion people. There are 8 trillion people living on this earth planet. That is the first thing.
Yeah.
So then what our master says, that all your human desires can be classified into 4 categories. One is to make an effort and earn wealth of any kind. Second category is to use that wealth for pleasure. Third category is to live, I'm using carefully, living a religious life. Religious life says, I have not to do what I'm not supposed to do in my personal, professional, social life. And I should do what I'm supposed to do all the time. What is going to happen? It will accumulate virtues. It will minimize the sins. Sins and the virtues are not seen. Their impact is felt. We feel the symptoms. So these are the 3 goals, and the 4th goal is the self-discovery. That is how the master says, that is the beauty of understanding, that all your desires can be classified into the 4 categories. You're going to a restaurant. Going to a restaurant, that is for pleasure. Second goal. You are going for a sexual pleasure. That too is the second goal. You are earning wealth, the first goal. You are earning recognition, first goal. You're buying a car, the first goal. You tell me. List down all your desires and categorize them into all the 4 categories, the first 3 categories. So the master introduces the 4th desire is the desire to know the real self. Am I clear?
Yeah.
That is the first step. Now, the second step of understanding, when I constantly contemplate and reflect on the first 3 goals, I recognize these are not the goals, these are the means. Goal is only one. These are the means. Phone is the means to listen, to get or receive a call. Car is a means to reach home. They do not directly give you permanent happiness and peace. You use them, you use the money. You go to the restaurant, spend the money, and the food that gives you pleasure. There are no direct means of happiness.
Yeah.
There are indirect means of happiness. Oh, so it means they are the means. So what happens? We continue with the first 3 goals as a means. When you use the 3 goals as a means in your life, 50% of your worries drops down. I got one student who is a millionaire. I know him. He sent me a message that I'm not earning enough. That's why I'm in stress. Even though I have 5 houses nearby. I have 5 cars. I said, what to talk to him?
So, but there's really only one goal of life.
Only one goal.
Okay.
But it does not mean that we should not pursue the first 3 goals, but as a means. We recognize all the time that earning wealth is only a means to achieve the 4th goal. Why the 4th goal? That is that is only one goal. At least I will have minimum resources to feed myself, to live a outer social professional life calmly, so that I can devote more time to the journey of the self-discovery.
So that's what it's a means for that.
It means for that. But while you are using those means, your professional, your social, your family responsibilities are also fulfilled. Indirectly, they are fulfilled because you are earning money. So you have a house, you have a car. You are married, you have kids. So they are also getting fulfilled. But inside your head, the final goal, only one goal is the self-discovery. When we have that temperament, when we have that mind set, nobody can dare you, disturb you. You cannot have any hesitation and stress. You get money today and you do not get money tomorrow because your mind recognizes it is only the means. If I don't get today, I will earn more tomorrow. I will revise my plan. So you are not fully busy, you are not agitated, you are not in stress. Because they are the means. When your car breaks down on the way to reaching home, we have many other means, we know it. I need not to tell you. We have the means. We will reach home. We'll call the insurance company. I like pasta, but I don't get the pasta, so I have other food available. But if my goal is to get happiness by pasta only, then the means converted into the goals, and that disturbs the mind. That disturbs the mind. That agitates. Yeah. It is a false self. It is a false notion. Every master for the last almost 6,000, 10,000 years ago. They said, understand this clearly. Why to understand clearly? You are always calm. You are not in a hurry. They are the means. Either get the means from you or from the other.
Yeah.
How simple. I don't get, this project. I will get other project. I don't get this food. I will get other food. So when my mind, my intellect clearly reflects these three are not the goals, but they are the means. Why they are the means? Not only to fulfill my responsibility in the society, in the family, but also to keep the journey alive of the self-discovery. That clarity should be there.
Yeah.
Now, I can go on, but I will not go on. I will pick up one point. Your 100% conviction that these are the means. You are working on a project. The other guys is not listening to you. So you are not ready to fight. You convince, you find the means, you find the ways. And if it is not done, you leave it. You simply say, I leave it. They'll be surprised that you are not fighting, you are not hesitating. At least you left them calmer, you remain calm. Oh, I will find another. Let me use this idea, this intellect, this project for something else. That is known as the religious life. So you have introduced the religious life in your profession also. So that is the first question. What is the goal of life? Now, second is what is the common desire of all the human beings?
To be happy.
To be happy, to be in peace. In fact, to common desire of all the living species. I am learning Eastern wisdom. I recognize that there is a false I and there is a real I. The false I wants to fulfill all the desires of the life by hook and crook, by crime, by violence, by reaction, by anger, by hesitation. That is the way of the society. This is not my way. Why it is not my way? Because I don't want the false I to take over, to fulfill the common desire. So I am mindful. I am aware. I don't fight. I don't react. I am not angry. That is the difference between being a seeker and being a non-seeker. Your dad becomes, say for example, your dad becomes angry and hesitated. You remain calm. Why? Your dad finds the way to become angry to fulfill his desire. You recognize that anger is not the way, so you remain calm. You understand that. Because of that understanding, you don't get agitated. You don't react. That is why the second question is what is the common desire of all the human beings, all the living species? All the living species. That must be realized in our mind all the time. Even say for your example, I have a team who takes care of my website and manages the social media. So one day my mind was upset over this guy and he said, you can't do this much? This is such a small thing. And instantly I realized he does not have that capacity. Why am I angry? Why I am angry? He cannot handle this. So I sent the project to a couple of my students in Ukraine, and they did it and they sent it within 2 days. So what happens now? What happens with the second major question? What is the common desire? In a society, I have to get the things done from the others, and others people have to get things done for themselves from me. That
Yes.
is the way to share. But I am always mindful as a seeker, what is the limitation of this person? How this situation is limited only to this factor. So I recognize that limitation and I'm happy. If it is not done, I know how to get the things done. I'll find out the other way. Anger comes because my expectations are not met. I feel frustrated because you are not doing what I want, what I expected you to do. That includes our parents, our siblings, our sisters and brothers, and our friends and employees. So we are living almost in calmness.
How do you,
Why?
how do you find how do you find peace when you're like maybe around like today I was sitting at a bar for lunch and the person next to me was so loud and so obnoxious and drinking and he was so annoying and I was trying to like talk to myself like how do you find peace when sometimes you can be around chaotic people?
Think at that moment, think that I am following the path of the Eastern wisdom. He is taking the drink and crying. He is doing a self medication, over the counter medication for pleasure and happiness. What he could not release in either in front of his wife or his family, he is doing in the bar. Thank you, my friend. I will never do this. You are teaching me. You don't get annoyed. You
Okay.
learn from him.
Okay.
Why? Because you cannot control anyone in the world.
No.
So I have to learn in every situation.
Yes.
Outer situation cannot be controlled. So why I get annoyed? I want to impose my thinking, my way of perceiving, my way of living on him. That is why I'm annoyed. He is not doing it.
Mm.
And that is false I. That is my ego. You see how cultured I am in a group, in a restaurant, in a bar, and how much he is uncultured.
Yeah.
So I get rid of those thoughts. I bring a clarity in my head. What others are doing, it is their responsibility, not mine. Why should I get annoyed? Why should I get agitated? It happened, I think I went there, Chicago Pizza. They have a bar. I was sitting with Mani and the guy, the same thing, nasty. So when he looked at me and I said, good, good. so, so he looked at me, but he looked at others also. Others were annoyed, and every time he looked at me, I said, good, very good. My wife said, what the hell you are doing? I said, wait. And after a few minutes, he calmed down and he looked at me, Every time I said, very good. Where is the problem,
That's funny.
We have to live in a society. How you live in a society depends on you.
You're right.
Either the situation outside impacts you, or you give a positive impact to the society. At least once he gets out of the effect of that drink, he will definitely think that weird guy what he meant.
I like that. You're right.
So I follow a very simple approach. And I remain casual. I remain mindful that society outside should not have a greater impact. My son's brother-in-law, he went to, I was also with him. He went to where? Banana Republic. So there was a $25 off. And I know that he had bought many shirts and the pants. Still he bought it because there was a coupon. So out of $25 discount, he had still to pay another $42. I said, what kind of a discount it is? So when I explained to him, he came back and he has kept the bag here. He said, I'm going to return tomorrow. I said, yes, you must return. And you take that $25 coupon, so what we will do? I said, give to someone who may be there in the Banana Republic. Give to them. We don't need. Just make it clear.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Oh, then he remembered that you did the same thing in the Coles. I had many coupons, worth $120. So one lady was there and I said, do you want this? Are you sure? I said, I'm sure. That's why I'm telling you. If you use it, I'll give you. I don't want to throw it. Then she looked at it and she was very happy. Oh, I said, okay, get happy, be happy. So there are ways to deal with our daily life.
Yeah.
You remain casual, you remain mindful, you enjoy the life. That is the second question, the common desire. Now the third question comes, well, what do you mean? Yeah. Yes, but I should take it. What is the third desire? What exactly is the end of suffering and awakening to the real self? The word used in Eastern wisdom, Buddha says nirvana. Patanjali, the great master, uses the word kaivalya. Our Jesus uses the word salvation. Or you can use the word freedom. What is the end of the suffering and what is permanent happiness? Oh, that is nirvana. Now you see that you are becoming very clear. Sometimes people start thinking, oh, nirvana is something that you are absorbed into meditation. You don't come out of the meditation. Buddha taught for more than 45 years after the nirvana. He visited almost every village in India. He visited every village, every county in India minimum 10 times because he taught for more than 45 years. So now see now that one misconception is removed. Oh, so it does not mean that you have to keep sitting on meditation. It's all about the knowledge, knowing the real self. No, it is all about bringing an end to the suffering. Bringing an end to the suffering and having a permanent knowledge is the third question. That is known as nirvana. Now you ask the fourth question, what is nirvana? How do you define nirvana? How do you define salvation? How do you define kaivalya? What is this? So when you ask those intellectual philosophers who have not undergone this journey of master and seeker tradition, they have a great philosophy, the dry philosophy. They will talk lot of things. And you return empty-handed. What is the answer? What is nirvana? Self-knowledge.
That's what nirvana is, self-knowledge.
Self-knowledge. Knowledge of the real self. So what do I now? I know I have a knowledge of the false I.
And that's the end of the suffering.
The moment you have a self-knowledge, that itself is the end of suffering.
Yeah.
Your mind is moving in a right direction. So pay attention to the same statement, end of the suffering. Now see that when I have a complete knowledge, I have no problem. When I have a complete ignorance, that ignorance is known as bliss. Ignorance is bliss. One example, you are in deep sleep. You don't know you are the body and the mind. You don't know anything about the world. You don't know anything about your business. You don't know how much money you have in your account. You don't know anything. You have no worries. You are totally ignorant. That ignorance is not bliss. Because after a deep sleep, you wake up and you say that, how fresh I am, how calm and peace I am. Complete ignorance is bliss. So the complete knowledge is also bliss. What do you mean by complete knowledge? Bliss means you don't have any conflict, confusion, duality, anxiety for anything. No, but tell me, give me some example. Such a simple example. Do you have any worry about your name? Do you ever forget your name? Until today. Complete knowledge. Do you forget your home? No. Complete knowledge. Do you forget which car you own? Complete knowledge. You have no issue. Do you know who is your fancy? Or no, not fancy, fiancé. I will not talk in detail because the fiancé changes.
Yeah.
So when the fiancé changes, your name does not change. Complete knowledge. Fiancé changes, incomplete knowledge. I'm relating your experiences. You see that? How simple it is. Incomplete knowledge. You may introduce that he or she is my fiancé, and then you still have a doubt. You're not sure. Incomplete knowledge. You have a surety about your name, about your home, about your car, about your phone, about your gender. You have no doubt, conflict, and confusion here in your head. So when I have an incomplete knowledge, what is this incomplete knowledge? There is a sense of conflict and confusion. Who am I? Now we will come to this. You made a vital statement in that that helped me to recall. So incomplete knowledge is called as an ignorance about me, who am I? So at present, I know what I know is the false I. Because if I know who am I really, there is no problem. That is self-knowledge. So what is nirvana? Self-knowledge. What is kaivalya? Self-knowledge. What is salvation? Self-knowledge. What Jesus said? Kingdom of God is where?
Yeah.
In you. These masters taught everything in a symbolical manner, metaphor.
Yeah.
Buddha says, know thyself. In other statement, Buddha says, be light unto yourself. Who is the light? Real self. What is nirvana? Self-knowledge. Get rid of all the false notion. Get rid of all the misconceptions. So that your mind can focus, starting from the goal of life is the self-discovery. Self-knowledge is what the nirvana is what the kaivalya is, which is what the salvation is. thing. It demands a lot of contemplation and thinking. So why you think in the line with the teachings of the masters, so that you can remove the misconceptions, you can remove the wrong notions. Your mind is totally settled in the journey of the self-discovery. The self-knowledge is nothing but the nirvana. Self-knowledge is nothing but the awakening. Self-knowledge results into end of suffering and awakening. This I have to assimilate this knowledge. I have to digest that knowledge. So that any time says neck and you know, oh, who is calling me? You don't think and you know your neck. Complete knowledge.
Yeah.
If you have a half-hearted knowledge, okay, I don't know. You wake up in the morning, whether I'm Nick or not, let me think. So you are already in confusion. What is your gender? So let me think. The moment you say you are thinking, you are confused. And that conflict and confusion, that is known as the incomplete knowledge. That is known as the ignorance. We have to remove this ignorance. We have to remove this ignorance. So now see, well, we have to do, I used to give the same example at least 3 times. I'm repeating the 4th time. It is revealed, when I lie down and it reveals, oh, this is a good example. Come on. And then my mind is settled into that metaphor for a week, and then I move to another metaphor. It is such a spontaneity in life.
Yeah.
You might have been receiving the gift. You might have received the gift in the past. You might have given the gift. So if you want to give a gift, you put the gift and you cover it with a pouch or a small box. Then you cover it with a big box. Minimum 3 layers are there. And then you wrap it with a glittering paper. And you write your name from Nick. Whatever you want to write, my fiancé, my honey, my money, whatever it is. Now think that you receive a gift. Gift is inside the 3 layers. And if you keep the gift as it is, you don't open it, you don't know what the gift is. I'm comparing simultaneously the existence. If you call the existence as a God, that God has gifted all of us the real self. It is covered by the 3 layers.
I like that.
So unless you unwrap the wrapping, if you want to unwrap, it means now you are interested in knowing the gift.
Yeah.
If you want to know about real self, then I can say that you are interested in knowing that gift.
Yeah.
Some people come to me with a dry, you're talking to the real self, what is it? So, okay, you are ready to impose your confusion and conflict on me. So they ask me, where is the real self? I said, I don't know. No, but you talk about it. I said, I make people fool. You cannot become a fool. I just avoid them. They are not interested.
Yeah.
They are not interested in opening the gift. They don't recognize their false eyes dominating and dictating their life. They are ready to fight with everyone. Their argument is not right. It is better to avoid them. So the first wrapping, So you are interested only when you are ready to open that wrapping. What is that wrapping in this relationship with the real self? That wrapping is so attractive. You know, we always find what is glittering too much in, oh, let it buy this, even if it costs. I know that this is going to be a waste. This is going to be thrown out. The gift is more important. But I make that wrapping more important to look outside. Our mind has made this world outside more important than the real self. That is why we are constantly running outside. That is why we have a lot of confusion. That is why we are agitated.
Yeah.
We want to marry only Miss Universe. What is Miss Universe? She is also a girl. Does she have a special organ? Food. Food is food. I have given value to a particular food, and there I'm ready to spend $50 that I can have in $10 at home. It is okay. It is okay to, if I have the resources, but I should be mindful. So the mind glitters, or I would say the glitters of the world attracts the mind. That mind says what is outside is real, that will give me permanent peace and happiness, but they do not contain the property of peace and happiness. So I continue to live in delusion. That is another reason we wrap with the most glittering paper outside to delude the person whom I am sending the gift, and so we are deluding ourselves.
It's hard for people or even myself sometimes because like if the real self is permanent peace and happiness, like we already are permanent peace and happiness, but yet we're trying to find it because we want to feel a certain way. So
remove the three layers, then only you can find that gift given to you by existence. You are not ready to remove. Gift.
But my true nature is permanent.
Yes, it is 100%. That is the gift given to us. But it is covered by the first layer. That first layer is known as the impurities of the mind.
I see.
What is that impurities of the mind? The mind has a notion that the world of people, place, situation, object are real. That is the first notion, wrong notion. And then it is a real, it is different from me. That is the second misconception. So it is real, it is different, separate from me. Hence, I have to make an effort to achieve peace and happiness. That is the delusion, because the peace and happiness does not lie there. So this keeps on going. That keeps the mind confused. Always, always on the run. Always on the run. People do not think that this is only the means, this is not the goals. Means does not contain happiness. Goal. You look at the state of mind of Elon Musk, we don't see the state of the mind. We are deluded, we see the wealth.
Yeah.
So the first layer is this. Because of that impurities of the mind, because the mind is constantly running, Oh, I will grab this also, I will do this also, I will do this, I will do that also. Millions of the thoughts. They makes the mind wander. I'm always distracted. Now, can I tell you a principle? The greater the distraction of the mind, greater the fatigue in the body. More hours of sleep you have to do. Less the distraction means you have minimum number of thoughts at the time of the sleep, deeper the sleep, less the hours of the sleep.
No, you're right. I mean, on days where my mind is very wound up and all over the place, I'm tired. My body is tired. And on days where I am free and living as my real self, I have so much. The energy is beautiful.
Energy, yes, you are right. Again, you have used the right word. That energy is conserved. That
Yeah.
energy is not scattered because of millions of the thought. Thought is also an energy. So when you have millions of thoughts in your mind, every thought has a negative impact on each cell of the body that results into fatigue and the tiredness.
Yeah. I think like lately, like sometimes like I worry like I'm like, oh, I could get in a car accident or oh, this person could hurt me. I've been worrying lately about stupid stuff and I don't know why like I get these worries.
This is the
And
this is the second layer, that is the box. Because when we have millions of the thoughts pertaining to the world outside, and we know by default the world is in flux, it
the
is
word is
constantly changing. So one part of the mind says the world is real and I will secure happiness. The other part of the mind says it is constantly changing, so we have a fear, we have a sense of insecurity. When they both mess up, it results into these thoughts that what will happen? Nothing will happen, and whatever has to happen will happen, my friend. I am of the nature of the real self, independent of all the outer events of the world. I have to rethink in this way. But unless the impurities of the mind is removed, I cannot enter into the second layer. Unless I remove the first wrapping, I cannot open the box, second layer. So the journey is to remove the impurities first. And the second is the wrapping is the distraction, and the third is the pouch in which the gift lies. That pouch is the ignorance. So we remove that ignorance by knowledge. We remove the impurities by action, by thought, by right speech, by right action. That is our second step of out of the 40 step. So what is the right thought? What is the right speech? What is the right action? We will take up deeply into the step number 1. And the second is second layer. That is the box we have to remove. That is the distractions. So we can gain the natural focus, or I can say we can remove the distractions of the mind by educating the mind on the existence, either in the form of an image, or in the form of a mantra, or in the form of a geometrical figures that belongs to the Tantra tradition. So there are almost thousands of ways to remove that distraction and the delusion from the mind. We have to start from some practices from the next session. So now you are clear. Whatever the practice we do, first it pertains to the impurities of the mind. Second, to gain the natural focus. Third, that how to perform, how to think, speak, and act in the world full of challenges every day. How to meet those challenges in peace and happiness. How not to get impacted by the difficult situation in the world. So these are the two steps. And the third step we are already doing, we are removing the ignorance. How the ignorance is removed? Now you have to think a little bit, again go back to the same question. What is nirvana? Nirvana is self-knowledge. So how to get this self-knowledge? After removing the impurities and the distractions, by self-inquiry. What is self-inquiry? I have to recognize what is the false I and what is the real I. So self-inquiry. How to do the self-inquiry? By listening and learning these principles. But what is the indication? How long I have to listen? So when you are listening and learning, contemplating and reflecting, you find a sense of detachment. You were interested in those things causing you the trouble, but now you are not interested. They are in present of you. What it means, a sense of detachment comes. So as you continue, the sense of detachment not only helps you to get the natural focus, but also leaves you in the state of the calm all the time. Mind is relatively free. You find the joy. But as you continue the journey, the second impact in our life is that the mind starts living in the state of dispassion. Dispassion is not indifference. Dispassion is that now you are not interested in any form of a delusion coming from the world. Like mirage water, you are not affected. Like when you are driving the car and the highway is running behind you, you know it is not. So when you look at the beautiful girl, you know peace and happiness is not there. It is a delusion. So you start with a clarity in the mind. But you get an opportunity, you talk. But you talk, you think, you speak, and you act in the state of dispassion. So what is the another result? So from detachment to dispassion, from dispassion to a natural steadiness of the mind, your mind is not going to wander. You wake up in the morning and mind says, relax, calm. Don't run. You do all your activities in harmony, in tune with the universe, in tune with the nature. That is the secret we have to understand in the step 2. But before that, what is real self? Real self is, that I told you, it is permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That is very clear. Now, in other way, we can say that, think of that, permanent happiness. What is permanent happiness? Then I've discussed that permanent happiness means, with reference to the world outside, you are happy in the morning, you are happy in the afternoon, you are happy in the evening, you are happy in the night. Permanent happiness. You are happy in all locations, you are happy in all relations, you are happy with anyone and everyone. Because that happiness is coming from inside. So from where it is coming? From the real self. No, but when the false self always expects happiness from the outside.
Yeah.
How? By attachment. By thinking the world is real. By declaring that I will definitely get happiness this time. You have repeated the same act 50 times before you fail. And your mind still is deluded to say 51st time, I will try one more time. Then what is your age? 90 years old. When you are trying 51st time, your age is 90 years old. You are on a bed. Your sense organs are not working. No, let me try one more time.
Yeah.
You are in a delusion. People do it. You can see in our society, those
Yeah.
people, those people are still doing it. So that is what the ignorance is. Another part that I want to take up, you need to think that real self is not the part of the thought, not the property of thought, not the product of thought. It is independent of the thought. I'll bring an end to today's lesson by a story. Why it is so. And it happened to me just 2 weeks ago. 40 years back, I'm 65, so maybe more than 40. I had a classmate, we did bachelor's together from Delhi University in the capital. And he was searching me, he sent an email, and I recognized him. Oh, yes, yes, I know that guy. Very, very genius in chemistry, and then he went into the physics, he became an IT expert. He's working in Intel. So we had a virtual meeting. In those days, I have long hairs, black hairs. He also had it, but he was thin. But when I saw him, he was double diabetic, suffering from a couple of illnesses. We both have the more or less the same age, but we recognized each other. Now I have a question for you. Did I recognize him based on his physique body? Body has changed. He also has a gray hair. I'm meeting him after 40 years. He also recognized me. How he recognized? How we recognize each other. It clearly shows we are not the body.
How did you recognize him?
How did we recognize? You tell me.
Because you knew it was going to be him?
Yeah, I knew the name. I knew the name. The way we recognize I am the same person when body is 5 years old, when the body is 10 years old, when the body is 20 years old, when the body is 30 years old, when the body is 60 years old, that I do not change. If the I changes, the entire past memory will also wiped out.
Yeah.
That real self we have to realize. That I is not affected. I said, oh, you. So I was mindful and I said, your body has changed. I have a diabetes, what I said. Now sugar is a poison. So I did not pay any attention why the sugar is a poison. That is your outlook. You have not taken care. You have taken extra sugar. So the sugar says, this is my home. So how the sugar is poison? So the main point, what is the main point? I am 5 years old. I recognize myself. The same I when I have 20-year-old body. The same I when I have 30-year-old body. It means I cannot be the body. I am something more than the body that lives inside. That is the gift by the existence. That is the journey of the self-discovery. What is nirvana is nothing but the self-knowledge.
Okay. Can I have a mantra?
Yes, we are going to do it next week. We will do the practice.
Okay.
And maybe we can have one or two different mantras, and that you should remember all the time during the day, during your professional activities. You have to do it.
Okay.
And then from there, we will move ahead.
Thank you, Girish.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.